Hi, my name is Alexandra Hankins, and my independent research project was the analysis of Toxoplasma gondii from cat colony fecal samples and cat colony's threat on Hawaiian monk seals. So I chose this topic because over this summer I saw articles about this newfound killer of Hawaiian monk seals, and after reading the articles I was really surprised that cats and monk seals were related, so that's how I chose my topic. So the problem is, as we know, monk seals are endangered, and their population has declined since 1950. There are only 300 living around the main Hawaiian Islands, and 11 of which have died from the parasite. We don't have information on the levels of toxoplasmosis around Oahu, and toxoplasmosis comes from cat colonies because the parasite reproduces in cats, and it's found in their feces. The feces enter the water via runoff, and then it contaminates the monk seal's prey and their water. So the parasite causes the disease toxoplasmosis. T. gondii can infect any warm-blooded animal, but only reproduces in the digestive system of a cat. The oocytes, or like the eggs of the parasite, can survive and remain infective in freshwater, saltwater, and soil for up to 2 years, and especially in warm, humid conditions and in low-lying areas, much like Oahu's beaches. So this is the life cycle of T. gondii, and as you can see, it starts with the cat and then can lead to the Hawaiian monk seal. And millions of the T. gondii oocytes can be spread into the environment via the feces of just one cat. And it only takes one oocyte to cause a possible infection in Hawaiian monk seals. According to Conrad et al., areas on California's coast with high T. gondii exposure were predominantly sandy bays near urban centers due to their proximity of high levels of freshwater runoff, and beaches like this are common on Oahu. So cat colonies near the water may be a source of toxoplasmosis. So from understanding the current problem of Toxoplasma gondii, what I wanted to do was find cat colonies where monk seals have been sighted. To do this, I talked to the Humane Society and locals about where cat colonies were around Oahu, and then I also contacted NOAA for monk seal sightings around Oahu. So I ended up making 2 maps. The first one with the little cat icons are the cat colonies I went to, and then the second one was monk seal sightings from the year 2016. And I wanted to choose 2 cat colonies, so I based this off of the criteria that they had to be close to the water, they had to have a large amount of cats, and monk seals had to be sighted there. So the first colony I chose was Kaka'ako, and it had about 40 cats there. And they were mainly in the parking lot, but some of them, as you can see, were on the rocks. The next one I chose was Haleiwa, which was even a bigger cat colony of about 50 cats, and there were many in the rock wall close to the water, in the grass, or even in abandoned boats. So what I did when I collected the samples was I marked the location, the date, the texture, whether it was wet or dry, and the distance from the water. So from my samples, I wanted to focus on the question, what % of fecal samples from cat colonies close to the water have Toxoplasma gondii? To do this, I extracted the DNA from 50 samples, and then I performed PCR, or polymerase chain reaction, for a specific detection of T. gondii. And the photo of the feces is a positive sample from Haleiwa. And then I ran each sample through a thermocycler and then through agarose gel to determine the length. I did this with a bunch of different primers because it's hard to detect T. gondii in feces, because a lot of the primers I used could also detect bacteria, and when testing feces there's definitely a lot of bacteria. So I wanted really specific primers to know that my positives were actually positive, so I ended up using a B1 primer, which was 2,000 base pairs. And as you can see, I found 2 samples with that length. So my 2 positive samples were from Haleiwa, which was 8%, and then I found 0 from Kaka'ako. But you can see in the map, the 2 green stars are the positive samples, and the red ones are the negative ones. Then I combined my results with a study done at UH Manoa, which you can see with the green dots, they tested UH Manoa, which had 5%, and then Cannon Point Natural Area Reserve, which had 22%. And then they also, you can see the monk seal sightings. So there's a lot of monk seals at Cannon Point, but luckily they removed the cats from that area, so there's no longer a threat there. But this is like a quandary about what to do with cats and other cat colony locations, and it's a debate that needs to happen, and my data would support the removal side. The next question I focused on was, what is the threat of cat colonies to Hawaiian monk seals? So Haleiwa cat colony had a higher percent of cats infected with T. gondii. There was 2 out of 25, so it's a definite area of concern. And then Kaka'ako had 0 out of 25, but that does not mean there's no threat. There's reasons for possible low percents because the cats only shed the parasite for 1 to 3 weeks, and then the cats can only have toxoplasmosis once in their lives. So if it's an older cat colony, it's likely to have a smaller percent than a younger cat colony. And there's also difficulty in detecting methods for the parasite in feces, which I definitely experienced. But luckily, both colonies resulted in the range of expected results from the Davis et al. Study done at UH Manoa. So my study and Davis et al. Study are the first to test cat colonies around Oahu for T. gondii. Further research and information on the best time to test cat colonies could increase positive results. And future work could retest the Kaka'ako cat colony due to the short shedding time. More information on Toxoplasma gondii in cat colonies can help determine areas where seals need closer monitoring and the distribution of the parasite. This is the first study relating cat colony locations and frequented Hawaiian monk seal beaches, so my study helps to further understand the threat of toxoplasmosis on Hawaiian monk seals. My findings should support the need for discussing ways to control cat colony populations like trap, neuter, release programs, and just education about the threat of cats. Continuous monitoring and evaluation of health and future conservation efforts of Hawaiian monk seals is needed because there is a correlation between Hawaiian monk seals and cats. So, what I learned from this project was how to manage my time, because sometimes I would stay at school until 8 o'clock testing my samples, but then I learned to spread it out into my freeze. And I also learned how to do lab work because I basically lived in the lab for much of the year, but finding results made it all worth it. So if you plan on taking this class, definitely choose something you're excited to learn about. And then finally for this class, you need a lot of support. So I would like to thank all these people for their support. First, Dr. Chan, for helping me through every step of the process and explaining PCR to me several times. And then I'd like to thank Dr. Chris Lepchik for giving me guidance by sharing his study done at UH Manoa before it was even published. And then I'd like to thank my contact at NOAA, Adam, who gave me data about the monk seal sightings and helped me with my science fair poster. And then Iolani School for providing me with an awesome lab to work in. And then my friends and family who helped me pick up poop samples from the 2 cat colony locations. And now I'd like to thank all of you for learning about my project.